Hello. Good afternoon. Good morning. Good evening. We are back with our fourth installation of TouchStarved, in which I need to pick one of these 5 people. I want to add a warning that TouchStarved is of mature content, so if you are not of age or do not have permission or do not have the stomach for this, you should likely exit stage left. But it's a great story, so we should take that into account. Maybe you could stay. With that, I shall begin. I think we're gonna go with Ice this time. Whomever I pursue. Morbid curiosity draws me after Ice. I slink out the back of the wet wick. The alley is dead silent. Not really what I expected from a fight. A dull crunch reaches my ears, then a thud. I peer around the corner of the building, careful to keep hidden. Dark, glistening red spatters the ground, spidering through the seams of cobblestone. It guides my eye to a collapsed body across from me. Once so violent, the roughneck is now little more than a sack of crumpled flesh, bottled with mud. Blotted with mud. Ice exhales, his breath misting against the cold air. Blood flecks his knuckles as he looms over the motionless body, his feet on either side of it. Fear spreads like ice in my bones. Moments ago he was joking and friendly with the others, but now Ice's crimson's eyes find me in the dark. Not running, Sparrow? I warily rise to my feet, moonlit illuminating. I warily rise to my feet, moonlight illuminating my face. I thought I was out of sight. Got eyes on the back of my head. Ice steps off the roughneck. My eyes stay locked on the body. It's wet with layers of blood and grime. Completely still. He's alive. Are you sure? Calling me a killer or a liar? Killer. Must be scared. You won't hurt me. It comes out more like a question. His eyes flick down my body, then up again. Not like him, at least. His bloodied knuckles catch his attention. He tries to rub them clean, but ends up smearing the blood around more. I keep making bad impressions on you. I didn't know you cared about my opinion. Just prefer you didn't piss yourself when we talk. Annoyance bubbles in his chest. Well, I'm not pissing myself, even with your bad impressions. Like the first time we meet, Ice chips away at my fear, replacing it with irritation instead. Ice kneels beside the roughneck and frisks him. I can't help but wonder if the crime was worth the punishment, but I hold my tongue. Deftly, Ice's hands search through the roughneck's pockets. It doesn't take him long to find his prize, a cigarette and matchbox. He strikes a match. Sparks light up his angular features with a golden glow. It's distracting for a moment, but my gaze inevitably drops back to the muddy body. You're just gonna leave him there? Ice draws deep from the cigarette. He exhales heavily, smoke curling past his lips. I breathe in the sweet, spiced scent of cloves. As his tension melts away, he looks at me with cool, lidded eyes. Should I give him a blanket? Unbothered by the maybe corpse, he takes a seat on the crate, opposite the bar. I stand awkwardly, forgetting why I came out here in the first place. An unpleasant silence stretches between us. Weather's nice. Cold, murky, and humid, he means. I want to believe he's teasing me, but for all I know, this is pleasant for Iridia. Was Princess good company? Who? He takes another long drag. His metal rings catch the light of the cigarette in a flash of red. The soulless who escorted you back. You named it Princess? Jealous? I return his smile. You have no idea. I think your nickname's more fitting. Sparrow. Not sure where Eyes got it from. Maybe I should tell him to call me by my name, but it's kind of nice. Not that I'd ever tell him that. Before I can dissect my feelings, I quickly change the subject back to the soulless. Surprised it didn't kill me. I'm surprised I survived. Half expected it to maul me with my back turned. She's well trained, food motivated type, won't bite unless she's hungry. Sounds about right. The idea of tamed soulless is still so outlandish to me. I was mauled by a mindless, bloodthirsty beast, and he's talking about them like they're pets. But it's possible, all because of the sea spring. I need to get the answers he wouldn't give me before. I carefully take a seat beside him on the crate, contemplating my strategy. He doesn't seem to mind. He closes his eyes, tilts back his head against the wall, relaxed. Without the pressure of his intense gaze, I feel myself ease up too, as long as I keep my attention away from the bloody heap across from us. I glance over at Ice, allow my eyes to linger. A sea glass colored tattoo spirals up his arm, painting over grooves of muscle. Silver jewelry glints in the moonlight. It draws my eyes to his bare chest, rough hands, carved jaw. His ears, his horns, his pupils. Everything about him is sharp, even the fangs that only show when he grins. But as dangerous as he appears, I can't help wanting to know more. I wonder how recently he crossed over to this world, and why. What's your verdict? I whip my head in the opposite direction. What verdict? Got a long, good look. Are you impressed, or do I need work? My face grows hot. You're annoying. He responds with a low chuckle draped in smoke. Didn't stop you from staring. My embarrassment spikes. Without thinking, I blurt out a change in topic. I have questions about the sea spring. Boredom eclipses his amusement in an instant, and he closes his eyes again. Of course you do. I thought I made myself clear what you'd be giving up. Before you kicked me out to go drinking, I still need to know more. My turn for a question. It sounds more like an order than anything else. I bristle under his narrowed gaze. Fine. He takes a long pull from his cigarette and lets the smoke trail slowly from his lips. Your curse. What about it? This song and dance is all too familiar. The selfish questions come first. What does it do? Is it painful? Can you control it? I brace myself for the inevitable onslaught. Is the thought of living with it really so unbearable? My dread dies with his words. No one has asked me that before. You've survived this long. Unless you're running out of time, I'd wonder if it's really worth the sacrifice. He flicks a cigarette aside and props his head on blood-smeared knuckles. But what do I know? I'm just an outsider. My fingers fuss with the trim of my cloak. Ordinarily, I'd feel annoyed, but now my chest feels tight. You could have sold me if you were less honest. You're a shit salesman. He laughs under his breath. Harsh words. We lapse into silence again. This time, it's surprisingly nice. The quiet, chilled air is a calming reprieve. You know, you don't seem like an outsider back at the bar. A lot of people know you. Like you. Eyes raises a brow at me. I start by asking about Leander. You and Leander clearly get along well. You like Leander? Doesn't everyone? He's helped me a lot since I arrived in Iridia. He even got me a free room at the Wetwake. His charm has got him in far, but for a leader, he sure likes it when others take control. Part of me desperately wants to ask what he means, but Eyes continues before I get the chance. Surprised we get along? I thought you'd be at each other's throats instead of drinking buddies. His smile is easy, but there's a dangerous edge to it. Leander's done a good job for a human. Naturally, there'll come a time when his resolve is tested. Same could be said for anyone in this plane or the next. As for my resolve, well, stick around in Iridia long enough and you'll find out. I nod slowly. I can't decide if it sounds like a promise or a threat. Got any more observations, Sparrow? Kuras. I didn't know that you and Kuras were friends. In a way, I help him in the clinic sometimes. Doctor doesn't let most people closer than an arm's length. And you do? Heart's on my sleeve. Get the sense Kuras was like that in the past. Must have been burned. He trails off after the last few words, then shrugs. He opens up in his own ways, if he's relaxed enough. I don't know how to even imagine that. You'd be surprised. Even the doctor has an endearing side. I can't decide what's more intriguing, the fact that Kuras has an endearing side or the idea that Ice has managed to coax it out of him. Tell me if you uncover any of his other secrets. I'd kill to know more. Ver. I was surprised to see that you and Ver are close. Blessing and a curse. From what I've gathered, most people think he's, I don't know, an asshole? And water's wet. I wait for him to elaborate or add his thoughts, but he doesn't. So what do you like about him? He lets out a quiet laugh as if amused by my question. A lot of things. You already named one. You like that he's an asshole. Temperament matches the drapes. Looks good in blood and better in tears. Favorite thing's the tail. Sometimes it frizzes up if you... He catches himself, clears his throat. It's hard not to let the disappointment show in my expression. Vera is one of the most honest people you'll meet. Just don't listen to a single thing he says. Those sound like complete opposites to me. Min. Maybe Min doesn't necessarily like you, but they definitely pay attention to you. Ice's reaction takes me off guard. He growls, pinches the bridge of his nose, as exasperated as I've ever seen him. I make enemies as easily as I breathe, Sparrow. Doesn't bother me. But that dove's got it out for me for no reason. Maybe they're unsettled by the sea spring? It's not about that. Goes without saying that they've got some issues. Don't think they understand that you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Honey has left a bad taste in my mouth in the past. It could be the same for them. At least you're capable of a conversation. Do me a favor and teach the dove some manners, though thought they'd lay off eventually if I didn't bite. Hasn't happened yet. I briefly consider the possibility that Min wants to get bitten. I'm not about to propose that, though. My main point is that, speaking from experience, being an outsider usually means you don't have friends. I don't. I level him with a tired look. Fine, I confess, I have one friend. Don't say yourself. Acudius? My skin prickles at the name. Hair is standing on end. Who's that? A friend. It lives in my head. It lives in your head. Eyes taps his temple with a finger. Right here. Scared you off yet? That'd be the third bad impression I've made on you today. I'm stunned for a long moment, processing what he just told me. Then I burst into a fit of laughter. You're serious? Eyes grins wide enough to flash his fangs. Deadly. It sounds so fucking absurd I can't help it. On top of everything I've gone through today, it feels like I'm living a fever dream. I've come closer to death more times than I can count, encountered tame solace and a horrifying group mind. And now I'm supposed to believe that there's someone living inside Ice's head. There are tears in my eyes by the time I rein myself in. Ice waits patiently, lips quirked in amusement. sorry, it just sounds so ridiculous. The tension that wound my shoulders so tightly has melted away, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can breathe. I feel better. Dukas, where in a rat's ass are you? Rakos' gruff shouts rise in the streets, echoed by the sound of heavy boots sloshing through mud. The voices share the roughneck's accent from the bar, the same roughneck who is maybe dead and lying bloody across from us. I nearly forgot about him. I shove to my feet as their voices get louder. They're closing in quick. Eyes pulls me by the wrist out of the alley, away from the beaming moonlight. We dive into a nook between buildings, veiled in the shade of tattered canopies. It's a tight fit. Eyes boxes me in against the wall, his body all but pressed against mine as he towers over me. For the second time today, a steady scent of smoke envelops me, but this time cut with a metallic tinge of someone else's blood. Eyes pitches his voice low, quiet. My heart leaps to my throat. I'm suddenly acutely aware of the heat radiating off Eyes' body, the feeling of his leg grazing my thigh, the closeness of his breath. This is bad. I squirm against him and earn a burning crimson glare. Do we really have to? His hand covers my mouth, muffling my whispers. He shakes his head. Damn, he's over here. Dukas, wake up, you bastard. A group of individuals, all brandishing spiked weapons, fill the alley. They all wear violet sashes, some kind of uniform. I wish I could see what they are doing, but Eyes' arm all but blocks my sight. My eyes trail up the teal markings. They coil around his arm, his bicep. They lead up to his Eyes' collarbone, to the cords hanging around his neck, and to the smuggest grin I've ever seen. Glare at him. I would love nothing more than to chew him out, but his hand is clamped over my mouth. I fix him with the deadliest glare I can muster. Eyes responds with a wolfish grin, and I realize I've locked myself into eye contact with him. A thrill jolts through me, my face hot beneath his touch. This can't be happening. Why am I getting worked up in this situation? Voices in the alley grab Ice's attention this time. Shit, he's got more broken ribs than whole ones. What kind of freak did this? Fan out, find the cocksucker responsible. You three, take Dukas back to base. Least is still breathing. The alley clears out as footsteps rush away from us. We stay still until they're distant, melting into the rumble of the quarter. Only then does Eyes take his hand off my mouth. When we finally step back into the moonlight, the night air is ice on my skin. I feel dazed and the need to keep my eyes off Eyes at all cost. Was that really necessary? The tremble in my voice is nothing but embarrassing. Staying hidden was the best option. Would be a hassle to run into them with you there. What, because I'm deadweight? Because 3 bad impressions are enough for one day. The answer is too vague for my liking, but he's probably right. Either way, I don't have the energy to argue. Come on, Sparrow, let's get you home before you're framed for murder. Very funny. We reach the front of the wet wick too quickly. I hate to admit it, but I don't want to be separate from Eyes yet. And not just because he never answered my questions. He's infuriating. As easily as he makes me feel on edge, he can make me feel safe. Secure somehow. You know where to find me, and at the creepiest place in the world. Take your time before you decide to drink. I happen to like your shitty attitude. It takes me a moment to process it, then my eyes flutter down to my feet. I'll keep that in mind. When I glance back up from the ground, Eyes is already down the street, disappearing into the throng of people. No fanfare, not even a wave. Asshole. Ooh, let's just go with Ice. As intimidating yet laid back. An intimidating yet laid back outsider, Eyes presides over a C spring. With unnerving power, he offers you a miracle, but the price means submitting yourself to the horrifying presence at the heart of the spring. Will you gaze into the abyss for answers, even at the risk of losing yourself? Confirm. Thank you for playing from what TouchStarved. Okay, well, the story just kind of ends there because it's a demo, so maybe we can try the other options? Yeah, we'll try the other options next time. I'll catch you guys in the next one, hopefully. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And, oh, I like the color splashing. I hope you have a good one. Till next time, toodaloo.